What makes a hero truly relatable and memorable? Is it their courageous deeds, the adversities they face, or perhaps something deeper within that captures our hearts on a personal level?
Greetings all, my name is Tom Laspisa and I'm the author of my fantasy novel, The Agra Saga, and welcome to Mythmaker. Today we'll be examining both the heart and mind of Link from The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker. This incarnation of the hero is rather special in that his motivations and expressive personality make him a rather grounded, likable, and very compelling character. We'll dive into the reasons behind his quest, his character arc, and how this sets him a cut above many of the other Links in the franchise as far as storytelling is concerned. By examining Link's hero journey, we can uncover valuable insights that you can apply to your own characters to make them more engaging and believable in your stories. Also, major spoiler alert, as I will be going through this game from front to back, beginning to end, the whole shebang, so with that in mind, let's set sail and analyze the hero of Winds.
Character motivations are the lifeblood of any great story. They are the invisible strings that pull the character through the story, giving depth and meaning to their actions and decisions. Without clear and compelling motivations, characters can feel flat and unrelatable. It can feel like the character simply acts blindly to serve the plot, rather than drawing us into the narrative and helping us believe that this character could be real. Understanding what drives a character like Link not only enriches our appreciation of his story, but also equips us with the tools to craft our own memorable narratives.
Link from The Wind Waker stands out from many of his other counterparts in the Zelda series because of his more grounded and personal motivations, hence the picture.
In Ocarina of Time, Link has destiny thrust upon him right from the get-go, and he is imbued with a sense of duty to forces beyond himself. In A Link to the Past, Link endures the death of his uncle, sure, but there isn't much initially driving him apart from a sense of urgent curiosity about the telepathic messages he receives from Princess Zelda. In Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, Link is driven primarily by duty to the princess, and maybe food. But not much else compels him as a character. Twilight Princess does a good job of creating a relatable Link in that he is responsible for protecting and looking after Ordon Village, especially the village children. However, as far as we know, this Link is still an orphan and somewhat on the outside. The Hero of Winds is unique in the nature and intensity of the motivations that propel him into his quest. This is what we'll uncover. The Wind Waker opens in the picturesque and tranquil setting of Outset Island. This peaceful island is where we first meet Link, and it's here that we get a glimpse into his everyday life before his grand adventure unfolds. Link is known for his habit of sleeping in, which is humorously pointed out by his sister Aryll, who wakes him up at the beginning of the game. We see these two acting as genuine siblings, as Aryll plays the role of the exuberant and cheeky little sister, while Link is the unenthused and probably annoyed older brother. It's a cute and endearing interaction that immediately humanizes them. It sets the stage for Aryll as a typical sweet kid, and Link as an ordinary boy with his own quirks and personality. Him being one of the goofiest Links in the series also helps us like him even more. But he's not chosen by the gods. He's not imbued with great power or a grand fate that has been handed to him. He's just himself. And that's the crux of why this version of Link is awesome. Link's relationships with his family members are central to understanding his motivations. Aryll looks up to Link with great admiration. She loves to play on the island, especially using her beloved telescope to observe the world around her. She's even beloved by the local seagulls as they follow her around. Her pure-hearted nature and close bond with Link set the emotional stakes for the story. Link's grandmother is a caring and wise figure in his life. She looks after both Link and Aryll with gentle affection and provides a strong sense of home and security. She also embodies tradition and greater purpose as she holds onto and values both the hero's clothes and shield. The day the game begins is Link's birthday, which is significant for both him and his community. On Outset Island, boys who come of age undergo a ritual where they wear the traditional green garb of the hero of time. Link appears to be about 12, depending on who you ask, so we'll go with that. This tradition ties Link to the legendary heroes of the past, even though he himself seems unremarkable at the start, and even though his grandmother lovingly gives him the clothes, his face tells us he doesn't seem too keen on the idea. This gives us a fun insight into his personality. Other Links might just accept the clothes with a blank face, but not this one. This Link has his preferences and priorities, but he still wears them because he loves his grandma. Beyond his immediate family, Link is a well-known figure in the village. The other villagers see him as a dependable, if somewhat laid-back boy. Link's interactions with other villagers further flesh out his character. He helps around the village, whether it's assisting the adults with chores or playing with the children. For instance, there's Orca, the old swordsman who sees potential in Link and offers to train him in the art of swordplay. This early training session underscores Link's willingness to both learn and grow. Then there's Sturgeon, Orca's brother, who is more scholarly and provides Link with knowledge and advice. Link helps collect lost pigs, cut grass, etc. These relationships show that Link is respected and cared for by his community. This established sense of community and belonging showcases the reality within the fiction and gives Link a solid foundation, making his later adventures even more impactful as he is seen leaving a real, lived-in world to face the harsh unknown. This Link really could be almost any other typical boy, and that's the whole point.
Link begins his journey with a deeply personal mission that manifests the core force behind his entire adventure. The dramatic kidnapping of his sister Aryll by the giant evil bird, the Helmrock King, is the inciting incident that pushes Link into action and ultimately begins his transformation from a carefree island boy, pictured here, to a determined hero.
Aryll spots the Helmrock King flying over Outset Island. The bird is carrying Tetra, the pirate captain, who has been captured for her resemblance to Princess Zelda. In a daring rescue attempt, the pirates shoot down the bird, causing Tetra to fall into the island's forest. Curious and concerned, Aryll asks Link to investigate. Link rushes to the forest to help, and after a brief encounter with Tetra, the Helmrock King swoops down again. But this time, it seizes Aryll, mistaking her for Zelda due to her pointed ears. The sight of his sister being taken away is a devastating and heart-wrenching moment for Link. His immediate reaction is one of sheer panic and desperation as he sprints towards the cliff's edge without a second thought, sword drawn, driven by a singular, all-consuming desire to save her. His emotions are so great that he unhesitatingly runs off the cliff. Now that's real love. Keep this in mind when you write your own stories. Namely, that we are not given a long monologue about how desperate and sad the situation is. We are shown how much Link cares for his sister because he leaps off a cliff for her.
Unlike some other versions of Link who might be motivated by a great sense of destiny or duty, the Wind Waker's Link is driven by something much more intimate, namely his familial bond. The immediate and visceral nature of his call to adventure helps us empathize with him as his actions stem from love and loyalty rather than from an abstract sense of heroism.
Link pleads with Tetra to help him rescue Aryll and displays maturity and resolve that surpass his years. Tetra, initially skeptical and somewhat dismissive, sees the fire within him and eventually agrees to let him join the crew once he acquires a sword and shield. This is the next step in Link's transformation. He moves from being a passive character in his idyllic island to an active mover and shaker in a larger, more dangerous ocean. Then, poor Link has to have his heart ripped out again. Upon meeting his grandmother to tell her the news of Aryll and his own departure, she at first supports his decision and understands the necessity of his mission. She grants him the hero's shield, a symbol of both protection and family legacy. But then she begins to cry, and there's nothing Link can say or do to comfort her. He must leave, and there's no other way around it. To be a hero, he'll have to leave his other dearest family member. Thus, the emotional stakes are further raised. Link isn't just fighting to save Aryll, he's also fighting to care for his grandmother's heart. As Link sets sail with Tetra's crew and says one final goodbye to his village and grandmother, his determination to save and protect Aryll remains the driving force behind his actions throughout the rest of the game. He must grow into a role he never anticipated, one he was never chosen for, like other Links. This unique starting point makes Link's journey in Wind Waker one of the most emotionally engaging in the entire Zelda series. The personal stakes make every victory more satisfying and every setback more poignant. As players, we're not only rooting for Link to succeed in his quest to defeat evil, but also to reunite with his sister and restore his family. We want to find her, we want to defeat the Helm Rock King, and we want to ensure nothing evil ever messes with us again, all thanks to this incredible opening sequence.
Link's journey in the Wind Waker takes him all about the Great Sea to make both friends and enemies alike. And as he progresses, his motivations expand to encompass a broader sense of duty and heroism. His journey stops just being about his family and his little island. Though his inner goals remain, his goodness escalates his motivations to epic proportions.
Link's first big mission: sneak into the Forsaken Fortress and rescue Aryll. With determination as his compass and urgency as his fuel, Link teams up with Tetra and her pirate crew to pull off the ultimate heist. However, things don't go exactly as planned. After being launched into a wall, losing his sword, sneaking through the entire fortress and making it to the top, Link is completely overpowered by the Helm Rock King and cast back into the sea by an order from Ganondorf himself. It's a tough blow after he'd already traveled so far, and a reminder of the sheer power of the darkness he's up against. But instead of backing down, this setback only sets a greater fire in Link's heart. After being rescued by the talking boat, the King of Red Lions, Link learns about the greater looming threat of Ganondorf and the need to gather the power necessary to defeat him. This marks a major turning point in Link's evolution as he changes from a boy on a personal mission to a hero with a destiny tied to the fate of the entire Great Sea. Whatever Link chooses to do will have ramifications for the world. It's a wake-up call, a reminder of what's at stake. However, his recent failure does not break him. It fuels him, and the King of Red Lions asks him these vital questions. Do you still wish to save your sister from him? And will you do anything to save her? The key to defeating Ganon is locked away in a great power that you can wield only after much toil and hardship. Do you understand? Link responds with a collected, resolved expression, showing that he's truly willing to do what must be done. He isn't flippant or arrogant. He listens carefully and makes a choice. This is a very important point. It's his response to setbacks that draws closer to him as a character here. And with a clearer vision and a fiercer mindset, Link gears up to face the challenges that lie ahead. On Windfall Island, Link's interactions with the local villagers further highlight his growing role as a hero. He helps various characters such as freeing Tingle, resolving school disputes, helping people find love, healing the depression of a boy, and even restoring hope in the poor girl Mila later in the story. These smaller quests build Link's reputation and show his willingness to help others out of genuine compassion. Each act of kindness reinforces the idea that Link's core motivation, namely his love for his family, translates into a broader love for the people he meets. Link's journey next takes him to Dragon Roost Island, home of the Rito tribe and of the best song in the entire game. Here he assists Prince Kamali, who is struggling with his own fears and insecurities, and Medley, the prince's caretaker. By inspiring both Kamali and Medley by solving the crisis of the dragon Valu, Link bolsters courage and hope in others. In the Forest Haven, Link assists the Koroks by rescuing Makar and helping set the stage for the Korok ceremony to spread more forests throughout the world. By aiding the Koroks, Link might just be beginning to see the larger picture by now, within the symbolic nature of the ceremony. Namely, that saving Aryll is part of a wider mission to restore balance and peace to the world. This concept and mission to restore peace to a darkening Great Sea becomes terrifyingly evident when Link searches for Nehru's Pearl. He encounters the destruction of Greatfish Isle, a once vibrant island now in ruins from a direct assault by Ganondorf, while a curse of endless night brings further fear. Once Link learns that the Keeper of the Pearl, Jabun, has moved to Outset Island, it's an anxiety-ridden race back home, as Ganondorf could soon destroy Outset Island as well, killing his grandmother and the rest of his own village. Returning home, Link finds his grandmother weak and heartbroken by Aryll's kidnapping and the perpetual darkness. She can't even truly see that Link is standing right before her through the cloud of her despair. But restoring peace is now what this Link does best, and so he gathers a fairy and uses it to heal her. And how fitting that the reward for dispelling her darkness is his favorite soup, which just so happens to be the best healing item in the game that doubles Link's strength. This act of love, and all the generous deeds done up till now, reinforce that Link in Wind Waker doesn't just save the world from physical threats. He heals it from heartbreak. He brings people together, inspires courage and hope, gives of his time for simple tasks, and cures illnesses. The good heart that propels him off a ledge after his sister extends to so many others around the Great Sea. There are tons of characters in media, and even many of us, who have goals that are selfishly pursued, even if they may seem well-intentioned. Link could have easily pursued saving his sister without giving any care for the troubles of others. But this one is just built different. That's what truly makes him a hero, as he will soon show the very gods themselves. Having gathered the 3 goddess pearls, Link faces the Tower of the Gods, a trial set before him to test his mettle. By overcoming the puzzles, combats, and final battle at the top, he earns the recognition of the gods not previously bestowed upon him. This is unprecedented up till now, and showcases the raw determination he possesses. Successfully completing the trials grants him access to the sunken Hyrule Castle, where he pulls the Master Sword from its pedestal and takes up a higher call to adventure. This is the moment we see Link's motivations evolve and his goals alter. By pulling the Master Sword, he officially embraces a responsibility that goes beyond his immediate family. With everyone he's met and aided, every challenge he's overcome, every heart he's soothed, and every pig he's gathered, Link's sense of duty to the wider world has grown. In a way, the many different people he's helped have become his extended family. His motivations remain fundamentally the same, but like how a sapling becomes a tree, they grow to encompass much more. The scope of his goal of protecting his immediate family widens. And we, as the player, feel this with him. We connect with these characters. We want to listen to them. We want to go on quests to help them. And we want to save them from impending doom. And what's amazing and awesome is that Link serves as the perfect conduit for that emotional connection. Link's second infiltration of the Forsaken Fortress is a true milestone and a cathartic retaliation. In an emotional but brief reunion, he finally rescues Aryll and the other kidnapped girls. His initial goal is achieved, but now that his goals have broadened, his quest is far from over. In the beginning of his journey, if Link freed his sister, he might not care as much about the Helmrock King. But he's changed, and you can see it in his big ol' eyes. He's not just here to get his sister out safely. Oh no, he's here to straight up murder some bird. This time, Link isn't messing around. He brings stronger weapons and stronger resolve, and with a few cracks to the head, Link fells the beast in one of the most satisfying boss fights in the series, hands down. The fight with the Helmrock King isn't only about Aryll anymore. It's about overcoming his previous fear and doubt. It's about purging the world of wickedness. When Link emerges victorious, it's more than a win. It's a testament to his growth, courage, and commitment.
Here we witness how a simple boy can stand up to even the biggest challenges. It's a reminder that heroes aren't always born, right? They're made through grit, guts, and a lot of heartfelt determination.
This victory feels so powerful because it isn't just for Link. It's for us, for every player who's ever faced their own Helmrock King. It exemplifies the power of perseverance and the importance of standing tall in the face of adversity, especially for the sake of others. So when that big bird explodes, it almost feels like a victory for the soul. To fully restore the power of the Master Sword, Link must aid the sages Medli and Makar. By helping them understand and embrace their destinies, Link demonstrates his ability once again to inspire and lead. These two friends look to Link for inspiration because of his willingness to do what is right and forge a righteous destiny. This part of his journey is marked by selflessness and a deepening understanding of the sacrifices required for the greater good. Link imparts wisdom as he helps his friends accept the weight of their vocations as sages. Following this, Link must sail about the entire Great Sea to gather the Triforce of Courage Shards, underscoring the enormity of the challenge he faces. It can also be a grueling experience for us as the player. When he finally assembles the Triforce of Courage, the King of Red Lions acknowledges him as the Hero of Winds. Because of his unwavering spirit in the face of terrible odds, he has truly earned that title. It's the final piece of the puzzle Link needs to face the ultimate evil. However, we secretly know that even if he hadn't gathered those pieces, Link possesses true courage already within his heart. To borrow a quote from the hero's shade from Twilight Princess, "A sword wields no strength unless the hand that holds it has courage." The final battle with Ganondorf is a clash of destinies set amidst the ruins of Hyrule, submerged and forgotten. The battleground is the crumbling remnants of a once great kingdom, now a haunting reminder of what was lost to time and ambition. The stakes are higher than ever, with the future of the Great Sea hanging in the balance. Then, something strange happens, something that we don't see much in other Zelda games. Ganondorf shares a motivation of his own. He was compelled to seize the kingdom of Hyrule for himself and his people, to seek refuge from the burning sun and the freezing winds of the desert. We might be tempted to say he was also acting out of love, but we know who Ganondorf truly is. His maliciousness and profound mania in the face of opposition show us more that he acted out of envy. His heart was built on pride and a covetous hatred for the people of Hyrule. His ambition led him to defeat once before, and his hubris will lead him to another. This is how Link and Ganondorf are different, namely, that when Ganondorf encounters pain in others, he seeks destruction and death, but when Link encounters pain in others, he seeks peace, healing, and life. Ganondorf tears down, and Link builds. It's like when one seeks to soothe internal strife with external solutions rather than fostering peace from within. Link does this, but Ganondorf cannot. An empty black hole inside can only move inwards and consume, but a solid, integrated self can move outwards and be a generous soul that nurtures. If we compare it to a garden, it is the difference between uprooting versus pruning and nourishing. Ganondorf nearly gets the better of both Link and Zelda in a swift attack to gain the full Triforce. But the King of Hyrule, with a voice of defiance, wishes first upon the Triforce a future of hope for the children and the destruction of Hyrule forever. And so, Ganondorf's twisted desires are washed away forever. The battle is intense. Link, wielding the fully powered Master Sword, fights with a determination that is as fierce as it is pure, and in one stab, Link brutally ends the life of the old King of Thieves. And isn't it ironic how one of the most seemingly innocent Links commits one of the most violent acts in the series to defeat Ganondorf? I think it makes perfect sense in a symbolic way, though, because in order to truly foster hope and goodness, every bit of evil and wickedness must be cut down without compromise, lest it creep up again and corrupt the good. This is a spiritual truth that I believe Wind Waker embodies. At the end, the difference between the two is stark. As Ganondorf meets his end, he is frozen in stone, having been consumed by his quest for power and his selfishness led only to ruin for himself and others. However, against raging seas and floods, against treacherous heights and dangerous caverns, against monsters, phantoms, and sea creatures, against magic and spiritual forces, this Link arose from nothing to a powerful force of light in the world. And it's all because a boy loved his sister with a simple, self-giving love. Whenever you think of this story, ask yourself, what could I achieve for others with the love that's in me?
Great motivations are the driving forces behind a character's actions and decisions. They make characters feel real and compelling to the audience. So with that in mind, here are some key elements that make effective character motivations.
Number 1. Relatability. Motivations should be something the audience can understand and empathize with. Whether it's love, revenge, ambition, or fear, relatable motivations connect the audience to the character on a personal level. In Link's case, his main motivation was love of family, which extended to love of neighbor, and then love of the wider world. Number 2. Clarity. A character's motivation should be clear to the audience. It should be easy to understand why a character is doing what they're doing, even if their decisions are complex. A character's motivation acts as the anchor and foundational center of their participation in the story. For Link, we are clear from the first act of the game that he loves his family before anything bad happens to them. This is a great setup that you can also emulate. Number 3. Consistency. Motivations need to be consistent throughout the story. While characters can grow and their motivations can evolve, the core driving forces behind who they are as people should remain understandable and coherent. For example, it wouldn't make sense for Link to be motivated by love of family for a large part of the story, only to introduce a strong desire for wealth halfway through. Introducing multiple motivations in the beginning of the story is better as it allows the audience to expect them to play a developing role in the story. Introducing differing motivations can create a really interesting dynamic, which leads us into our next point. Number 4. Conflict. Great motivations often lead to internal and/or external conflict. This conflict drives the plot and character development, which can really keep the audience engaged. With Link, he's initially motivated by a desire to save his sister Aryll. This personal, immediate goal drives him to leave his home and face numerous dangers. However, as he continues his journey and his motivations develop to encompass a duty to protect the people of the Great Sea from evil, this creates some tension and conflict. On the one hand, we can imagine that once Link saves Aryll from the Forsaken Fortress, all he'd want is to return to Outset Island and reunite with his whole family. However, upon saving her, he has to say goodbye to her again, as she goes with the pirates and he continues his quest. We can imagine there must be some sadness and longing there. And lastly, number 5, depth. Complex characters often have layered motivations, like the example given above. A character might have a primary motivation and several secondary motivations that add depth and richness to their personality. As mentioned, some of these motivations and goals may overlap, but cause conflict. Some may be opposed to one another. For instance, we can imagine that Link's motivation for self-preservation and survival runs in direct opposition to his motivation to save the Great Sea from evil. Remember that he is a child, and even though we only see minor glimpses of Link scared for his life in the game, we can imagine how anxiety-producing this conflict of motivations could be, which is why he bears the Triforce of Courage after all.
Here are some tips on how to use character motivations for the greatest effect.
Number 1. Know your character. Understand your character's backstory, their personality archetype, strengths, and weaknesses. This knowledge will help you craft motivations that are believable and compelling, while providing you a quick reference for when you need to know how your character would act in a given situation. Number 2. Identify core desires. What does your character want more than anything? This core desire is often the root of their motivation. It could be something tangible like finding a lost family member, or intangible like gaining acceptance or overcoming fear. Again, multiple desires can be at play here, but having one main core desire provides you with clear story direction. Number 3. Create stakes. Make it very clear what's at risk if the character fails to achieve their goal. High personal stakes make the motivation more interesting and the character's journey more gripping. Number 4. Develop conflict. Introduce obstacles that challenge your character as they pursue goals stemming from their motivations. These obstacles can be external, such as antagonists, the environment, etc., or internal, like self-doubt, moral dilemmas, etc. Number 5. Show growth. Allow your character's motivations to evolve. As they face challenges and learn more about themselves and the world, their motivations can deepen or shift, reflecting their personal growth. This can be used to great effect in redemption arcs, such as when a character is motivated by a desire for external love and acceptance, but ultimately learns to seek love and acceptance within themselves. And yes, I'm looking at you, Zuko. And lastly, number 6. Tie motivations to the plot. Ensure that your character's motivations move the plot forward. Every major decision and action should align with their core motivations. Remember, motivations inform goals. Goals inform action. Action is plot. When you have multiple forces acting against the main character, including other characters with differing or opposing motivations, goals, and actions, you can create great stories. The Wind Waker holds a special place in my heart, as it was the first Zelda game I ever beat on my own. Getting to grow up with this game broke open my mind regarding what an adventure at its core ought to be, and how expressive and relatable characters can draw you in and teach you the fundamentals of heroism. Having a story as vibrant and expansive as this one, and with characters you want to get to know as people, spend time with, and help in their troubles, laid the groundwork for my love of both video games and storytelling, and is undoubtedly one of my top inspirations for becoming an author.
I really hope that what I've discussed in this video helps you to engage with the game in a brand new way and look deeper into characters from not just video games, but other media in your own stories, and maybe even some characters in your own life as well. Also, if you're a fan of fantasy adventure novels and you want to support me, then I invite you to check out a copy of my book, The Aryll Saga, by clicking on the link in the description box. If you want more analyses on stories and characters from some of your favorite books, shows, movies, and games, then hit that like button and subscribe. Until next time, Godspeed and happy writing.